Welcome to More Than a Coach. Coaching is not just about producing physical performances. There are mental, emotional, and even social aspects of coaching that must be taken into account when you're working with athletes and helping people in general reach their maximum potential. We all talk about, people becoming the best versions of themselves, and that applies to athletics and that applies to life. We have a coach with us today who is a master of maximizing potential, Miss Coach Joanna Hayes. Welcome, Joanna.
Hi, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm just honored to be able to talk to you today. We were just chatting a little bit, and I want to make sure we hit all those things again. But before we jump all the way in, I would like for you to just share with us about a coach that was more than a coach to you and how they impacted your life.
Yeah, my high school coach, Charles Leathers, was amazing. I think he was old school, right? So older guy, just like didn't play around, take no mess. He was fun, right? But he did not take mess. You would do what you were told. You would get it done because I know best. Like, you're like, this doesn't make any sense. And he's already been there, done that. Whatever you have to say, he's seen it, he's done it. So me, I was so young. I actually transferred from one high school. We moved to another one in my junior year. So I was, a little over halfway through high school when I got to him. So I think I'm grown already, so I'm like, you don't know anything. But he broke me down quick. Like, all right, so we're going to do great. Used to these like the workouts that I had to do with him, I wasn't used to. I hadn't done anything like it. And I'm like, you talking about, he was like, all right, you got, 5, 600s. You have 25 minutes to complete it. So you just figure out how you want to take your rest. I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about. It was just insane. But he was really, really hardcore, but very understanding. And he would, talk you through things, right? And teach you and guide you and supported me, helped me like pay for my SAT test because we didn't have the money. He was like, I'll pay for that, So he did that, but he was one of those people who held you accountable. And that was it. I think when you have that and you're growing up, I had my father, but he didn't live in the house. So having Coach Leathers was kind of like that. Like my mom had to work. So I was not really into school. So my mom was gone. I used to skip first period every day. And so get there. And then finally my teacher talked to my coach and he was just like, listen, you will be in class. And if you don't go to class, you're not going to the next track meet, which is going to be the qualifier for CIF. So once you start league meets, to CIF, to masters, to state, if you miss one, you don't qualify. And he was serious. So I was like, let me go to class. Let's go to class. But those moments where he's like, I'm not going to let you get away with this. I don't care how good you are. Nobody cares how good you are. You want to go to college? That kind of thing. So he prepped me to get to college and he really prepared me for my next coach, Bobby Kersey, who was completely insane. So
I want to touch on something real quick. You said that he paid for your SATs, which is like a small thing, but people don't realize how big of a thing that is for somebody who doesn't know how they're going to pay for that. You don't want to overwhelm your mom with another expense. And that could have been the difference between going to college and being who you are now.
Yeah.
Something completely different.
Exactly. It's like, my mom, we could have paid for it, figured it out, but it was still money. And it was like, he was like, I don't want you to do this and I want you to stress about it. And I think that was his thing. Don't stress. Let's take care of it. Get it done. I went in there, passed it. And it was funny because I got my score and I was like, oh, should I take it again? He was like, no, you're good. Because I was like, I don't know what this even means. He was like, no, you're good. You can get to college with that. And he had coached my collegiate coach, Jeanette Bolden. So he already kind of knew. And he had all athletes going to college. So he knows what I need to get in. But he just stressed how important my grades were going to be. Because I almost didn't get in because I got a D. I got a D in chemistry, which got me in. I was like about to fail. And Jeanette was like, hey, FYI, if you don't pass chemistry, you can't come to UCLA. And so I learned a lot from, just about education. My mom was a teacher, a substitute, and then a teacher. And she used to tell me all the time how important it was. And I just one ear out the other because it's my mom. And I think we don't listen to our parents. We listen to coaches, right? We listen to somebody else. I've had parents tell me, hey, I want this athlete, my child to know this. Can you tell them? Mm-hmm. The exact same thing, and they'll listen. And so I think he had a really big role for me at a time where I thought I knew everything. I'm doing what I want. I'm hanging out. He stepped in, was like, no, you're not, or you're not going to make the next level. So what do you want to do? And he gave me enough room. He gave me some rope, just enough to hang myself a little bit, but he didn't let me go all the way. He was like, stop you right there.
Right. And when you say he held you accountable and was willing to sacrifice, the team's success, because I'm sure you were the best on the team, and to say, I'm going to sit you out if you keep skipping class, and draw the line and give you an ultimatum. And I think that accountability probably was a wake up call that you carried forward in life with you.
Absolutely. Cause I'm like, he's serious. He ain't playing around. Like, so I'm not gonna be able to go. So I'm like, let me go and go to English, honors English. Like, I don't even know how I got honors English, but I was no, I was smart, but I didn't want to go. But yeah, it was just, you're right. It's like, oh, so I will be done. Like,
yeah,
whole year. No, I'm done with track. And like you said, the team, we're not scoring no points at CIF, state, or any of that. So he was willing to do that because he's looking at my future. Not the present. Okay, you can run fast. That's all good and dandy, but what are you going to do about your degree?
Exactly.
You don't care about school? All right, well, good luck in life. That's what he was. And I heard stories about him later after he passed away I knew he coached in Compton. He coached Compton Centennial. He coached guys. But I heard later, about how he was in the neighborhood checking everybody, all the guys. He was checking everybody, not just the team. He was that guy. He's that guy in the hood.
Wow.
So he's like, that's a piece of cake. I'm just going to tell her real quick and she going to get right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And you mentioned that coaches, like, kids listen to coaches even more so than their parents. To think about it, how much time we spend with our coaches, or even as coaches, we spend with our athletes. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. We spend a lot of time, hours, minutes every week with our athletes. How do you balance that as a mother, being a coach and taking care of yourself as a person with all the stress that's going on in the world?
Right. I think, unfortunately for me, or for a lot of us, that the last thing you said, taking care of me, that part a lot of times is out the window. I don't get to that a lot. And I've been talking to a group of friends, and we talk about it a lot. One of my good friends, she's LaShawna, she's like a life coach, and she does all this, and she's like, you need that self-care, you need that time. So I'm working on getting there. But before that, it's like, yeah, I have Zoe and Allie, they're 7 and 10. They need everything all the time. It's like, I'm like, you really need that? But they need their mom, or as far as they know, they need their mom for everything, right? So I'm dealing with them. And of course, COVID with homeschool. So they're in a hybrid. They go twice a week, which is, thank God that's helpful. But the other days when they're here, I'm doing schoolwork, and they don't get it done. And at night we're doing schoolwork. And then I'm at the track, and I got my elite athletes. I go from one elite practice, then I go across town to another elite practice and a collegiate practice, get home, back with the kids. We got tennis, always in tennis. So we're doing tennis, and we're running hills, and we're running miles, and all these things are just happening. And I feel like you don't really have time to think about them. You just react to them, and you just do them. And with the athletes, I'm sitting, I'm looking at workouts all day. I'm looking at times. We're setting up races, and I'm like, okay, he's got to come through the 150 here, 200 there. I need him touchdown hurdles here. And I'm looking at video, trying to make sure these people are set. So coaching doesn't stop when you leave the track, because you have to prepare for the next workout, or when they have questions, I'll call you on the phone. Well, why is this? Or what about that? And what are we doing here? Hey, what do you think about that? So I'm watching video from the practice, And so I think there's never a full balance. You just got to kind of blend it all and make it fit. The puzzle pieces are not going to always fit, but if it doesn't fit today, you got to move it around, put it back in tomorrow. Okay, we're going to find a way. And I keep telling myself, I have a board, I'm a little whiteboard. I'm like, I'm going to set the schedule up. We're going to do, I keep trying and just don't do it. But I think I'm used to multitasking. I was doing a podcast the other day and talking to hurdlers, and I'm like, hurdlers can multitask. We are used to doing this. We can run as fast as we can and jump over barriers, racing other people. So my mind is able to compartmentalize one thing, put it on hold, go to this thing, come back to it. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying it always works, right? There's times when I'm like, one of my kids is crying because I'm not paying attention, or I missed I forgot to hit the watch when an athlete ran because I'm checking on the phone for this one, or that athlete's over here, So there are those things, but we have to forgive ourselves for those things. We have to say, okay, I'm human. If you want to be coached perfectly, find a robot that can coach you. Okay, but they have not been created yet. So at this point, you're going to have human error, right? You're going to have circumstances. And I think you get the right athletes who understand that, and they roll with you. because they have, and they're like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Because, most of them don't have kids, but not the ones I'm coaching anyway. But they're like, okay, well, that makes sense here when they're trying to balance class. Oh, I see what you mean. So, you just have to have that understanding, and you have to be upfront with them. Like, look, I got a lot going on, but you are a priority to me, and we're going to take care of this. But when I'm done with this, I got to go over here. So yeah, it's just for me, I just do it. And I enjoy it. There are those nights where I'm like, I need to open this bottle of wine. Everything. But then, yeah, you have to give yourself the time just to chill, maybe watch a movie or, a series or read a book, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just doing it. I've been doing it a long time, so I'm just going to keep doing it.
Do you meditate at all?
I know I should. And I have tried. And generally when I meditate, I'm like, okay, my mind starts racing, but I feel like it's kind of part of it still. You got to just relax and let things flow, right? I know you do, right? So I feel like, you got to let it flow and whatnot. And I've been trying, for like a whole week. I was like, I'm trying to get up early in the morning before the kids. I'm going to sit, I'll read the Bible, I'm going to meditate. And that lasted not even a full week, but I tried. But I know that would be helpful, right?
Yeah. And then like just baby steps, same like we do with coaching. You're not going to have somebody, try to attack the whole hurdle race, the very first practice. You're going to take it into baby pieces so you can do the same thing, with that. Instead of trying to meditate for 20 minutes, starting off with like 3 or 5 minutes, just being at peace with everything. But yeah, because they always say, put your oxygen mask on first. So as coaches, we're taking care of everybody else. And I see with COVID and stuff, you see people who have been coaching and they're decorated coaches, very successful coaches in the community, and they're fine one day. And then the next thing you know, some of them are gone. And it's just like, I want to make sure that we as coaches are taking care of ourselves. I know when I was coaching high school, I didn't, your schedule is like this. It's determined for you. And, doctor's offices aren't concerned with the fact that you get out of practice at, 5 o'clock. You don't get to go to the doctor during the season.
Yeah.
Unless you're sick and you take off. And then it's like, I prided myself with never missing practice. I never missed practice. And then after everything happened with me, I was like, what? Was it really that big of a deal if I would have missed the practice? No.
Yeah, I'm always like, I got to get there. I got to get there. I think the athletes, they know that. They know when they're a priority, when you show up, even when stuff is going on, and you like, they feel good about it, but then they understand, like, no, you don't feel good, stay home. Or this happened with your kids, stay home. As they grow and mature, they understand that.
Right.
And even if they don't understand it, when they're older, they'll come back and be like, I'm so sorry. Like, right. I get it now. I've got all this going on, because it's gonna be, whether you're female or male coach, people have kids, people have priorities and things they have to organize, and athletes are very important. But
right.
They can't do it without you.
Yeah, they can't do it without us. But then it's such a double-edged sword, because at the same token, we're modeling for them as the coaches. We're teaching them the behaviors that we want them to have. So we want them to prioritize. We want them to be there every day, unless there's like something catastrophic happening. So, it's catch-22 with that. But,
But they need rest too. They need some time to tell them, don't come. You need to rest. Rest your mind, rest your body. Sometimes everyone needs that to reset. You don't want to stress coach, and coaches don't want to stress athlete.
Right.
Like, you know what, today?
So tell me about that. If you ever would have to make the determination to say, you know what, you might need a break today. That's not necessarily scheduled. Someone has something going on in their life, and you're like, you know what, you need to come back tomorrow.
Yeah. I think there's so many instances of that. Like, finals week, for collegiates, you make a lot of concessions for that. Like, okay, you need to rest. Or like they're planning to have a practice, but they're like, I didn't sleep. You didn't sleep. You need to go sleep. I don't want you here because, one, you're not mentally here. And two, you could get hurt. You're tired. You're not going to give me your best. And I'm okay with that because you have school. Or someone passes away and they're like, they thought they were okay, but they came and they're crying. You know what? You can go home. You don't need it. This is not, like you said, this is not that important to get this day in. You didn't eat, right? You're hungry. Go eat. Come back or don't. Let go. Get your body and your mind right, because when you come through those gates, we want you to perform, and you want to perform. So you don't want to come in here sidetracked and your mind isn't in it, have a bad day because now you're having the worst day. Right? Came here with some things weren't going right, and now you thought coming to the track would make you feel better, but the practice was bad. Now you have another thing that you're upset about. And so as coaches, it's our job to see that and to be the person to say, you need to go. And sometimes we're going to miss it, right? Sometimes they're so good at hiding what's going on, we'll miss it. But as often as we can get it, we have to get it. And we have to say, your mental health, your physical well-being, your emotional well-being is more important than these 300s you're about to run. Because I get the 300s next week. I'll get them back. I don't need them today. And that's what comes in. You have to be a human at points, and you have to forget about the numbers and forget about the paper and look at the person that you are dealing with, that you are speaking to in that exact moment. Not that person or that person, the one you're looking at. Period.
Right. And that's the overlooked part sometimes in coaching. We get so focused on the physical part of coaching, the X's and O's. That quote that says, it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Jimmys and Joes. The Jimmys and Joes are the human beings, the people. It's about the relationships that we form and our ability to sense, like you're doing, like a mom. You're saying you're okay, but I'm sensing and I understand something in your tone or your facial expressions, or just, the way you're getting on the line. I understand that something's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then there's times that, it might not be send them home, but there's times that your relationship can help lift some of that for them and help make that track the safe place or the place that they want to be. Somebody is experiencing something outside of the track and they want to be at track with you because of the relationship they formed with you.
Yeah, and in that instance, I've had athletes speak, you're my assistant for the day. You're my assistant coach, right? Take the notes, take numbers, hit the watch. Now you are with me, right? You are not thinking about what's out there, but you're not putting your body through something that it's not ready to go through today. You really can't focus on that, but you can focus on this guy or that girl. Okay, go, that kind of thing. So yeah, give them the notebook, give them the pen. And now they are there, but they don't have to put out all that energy and that to perform.
Right.
Notes. And again, they're in the moment, they're with their team and they're with their coach and they feel and they feel part of something. So yeah, it definitely is. It depends on what they're going through and what they need in the moment. Because sometimes you don't want to send them by themselves because you don't know what's really going on with them. What are they going to do? So yeah, keeping them busy is another one. So again, it comes along with knowing who you're talking to. And if they feel comfortable telling you what's going on, then you have an even better way to judge what to do. But if they don't, if you know them, you look in their eyes, you kind of know what they need. Right.
Wow. I have a comment here. Reynard Harmon says, sounds like my mom. Yes. And I always say that coaches are like another parent, like a second mom for these kids. So, and I say kids, but you've coached every level. You say you coach youth, high school, collegiate, and elite. Yeah. Are the same things, the same personality traits present in all, or what differences are there?
I mean, right. Well, there's the obvious difference of, age, right? And development, where they are in life. So I think you have to adjust to the age, right? Like I have Zoe and Allie. Zoe's 10, Allie's 7. There's certain things that I'm going to say to one and not the other. But I have a girl that I knew in middle school. I coached her in high school. She went to USC, and then now she's like assistant coach there. So it's great because with her, I actually got to be a part of all of her growth as a youth, a high school kid, and a collegiate. And the truth is, she's the exact same person, right? But I speak to her differently now, right? Because she's on a different level. She's grown up, but she's that person. So how to treat them because you're learning them. You're learning their mannerisms or how they talk or what's wrong. Oh, what's wrong with this one. Oh, that one's always like that, man. Whatever, we're good. So, I know that person. She'll be fine. Let her walk a lap. But it's funny because where you look at when you say like a second parent, right? And when they're in high school, they're with their parents every day, every night. That's their family. You don't really step in that. The parents need to have the role of assisting you if you say, hey, they need to eat this food or drink that, whatever. You don't spend a whole lot of time being a parent unless they don't have the parent, right? There's kids that don't have the parents in the home. And then you step in when you need to. But with high school, I was always supporting the parents. Like I said, I think I told you earlier, when they asked me, hey, such and such, I need them to do this, and they won't listen, you tell them, and I'll tell them. And then the one parent said, she came home and said what you said and forgot that I even said it to her, and she did it. So you're in that role. And then in college, they're not grown, but they're getting there. Right now, they're in between. So their parents raised them to 17, 18. There's an in-between stage of like, okay, now you're going to become an adult. You're not yet. That's why you're in college. You're in your learning.
Right.
And that's when you step in and start to kind of fill in. You don't take over, because their values and their morals, that's what their parents raised them with. You don't change that. That's who they are, right? But you help develop that into the next stage of life where they need it, dealing with professors or with, going to get a career, or with other coaches or their
Right.
counselors. So now you're teaching them how to deal with people that they have to respect, that they're learning from, that kind of thing. They're growing into adulthood. But
are there differences in do you have like an ability when a kid is young to see that they have the work ethic to make it to be elite? Because that's a question that I keep getting. Kids are asking me, or athletes are asking me, what does it take to become elite? How do I become elite?
Yeah, I think so. Part of, you kind of know when a kid wants to work hard early on. Some kids are like, I want to run every day. And some kids are like, you're going to make me run again, right? So when they're at practice, who wants to be there and who doesn't. So there's the ones that it's innate. It's in them. You know that they're going to work hard. Then there's the ones that you have to push a little bit. And I think at a younger age, pushing them is not that bad of a deal, right? When you have to push them through high school and college, they don't want to do it. And you might as well let them go. They don't want to run, right? They don't want to play basketball or whatever sport they're doing. If you want it more than them, they don't. But I think when they're youth, they don't really know what they want. They don't know hard work, especially now they got video games. They have all these other things that they need to be doing. When we were kids, we just ran and played outside. So we wanted to be outside. So I think now you don't know for sure at the young age if they're not going to do it, because they can still be motivated and you can still push them. And it depends on what they're motivated by, right? You can tell a kid who's 8 years old, go run a lap. And they're like, no, I'll give you $10. I'll run that lap, right? So, and as you motivate them through prizes or whatever, they may start to enjoy it. So some you just have to really introduce them to see if they like it. And that's why I'm always a proponent of put your kids in all the sports. Let them do all the things, because eventually they're going to figure out what they want. But if you force one thing on them, it may not be what they want and they may never do it. And then we're saying, oh, you're lazy, you don't have work ethic. Well, they hate it. Like you at 9, 10 years old, you really want them to do something that they hate? Right. So I think it becomes knowing who you're dealing with and what motivates them. And giving you're training a sprinter, but you're like, I don't think you're right. Let me try him in the high jump, right? Let me try the hurdles. Let me try this. They might like that better. So it's about being patient with those kids, because if you're not patient with them when they're young, you're setting them completely the opposite direction where you want them to go. Whether they're an athlete or not in life, they're going to go somewhere else because one of their coaches told them they're not going to be anything or they're lazy, and that's why we have to be very careful with the levels that we're teaching and what we're saying. I think we've all said something we regret to an athlete, like, hopefully not that, but we have to always come back and say, I shouldn't have said that. Hey, come here. Let me re-explain what I meant. Even with my kids, I'm like, why would you say that? I'm like, okay, maybe you misunderstood me. Let me start over. Because in the heat of moment, sometimes we do say it the wrong way and we forget who we're talking to. So back to your original question, I've taught them at different levels, coached them at different levels. I can't say to what I say to Rod Benjamin, who's, a grown man, elite athlete. I can't say what I say to him to a 16-year-old.
Right.
They're not on the same level to a 9-year-old or even to a collegiate.
Right.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
Right. Well, let me touch on what you just said, like the language that gets locked in. And I think that's something, the power of a coach. We impact more people than the average person does in a lifetime. We do that in 1 year. And when we speak things, it hits them hard. And when we tell people that they're lazy or that they can't do something, and I hear athletes repeat those things to me, they're like, I can't, or I'm lazy, or I just can't get it right. And it's like, well, where did you hear that? How did that become your reality? And we talk about the power of the tongue that the coach uses and how we can be more careful with the words that we choose.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you hit it on the head. They look up to us. They come to us to get better. and not just to get faster or stronger, right? They come to us, they're like you said earlier on, they're with us for hours a day, weekly. It mounts up, and you become someone that they trust. And so when a person that you trust, that you look up to, says something demeaning to you, you're basically gonna listen to whatever they say, good or bad. You say, "You're so wonderful, I love it." They're gonna feel that. You're the worst athlete I ever coached. They're gonna feel that, right? So there's a balance too. And I, always want to say, look, take the constructive criticism for what it is. Take the praise for what it is. Because if you praise someone, that's great. But hey, don't get a big head now, because you out there, I'm the greatest ever. I do. Calm down. Take it for what it is. You had a great day, but you got to come back. Right? You got to come back. Right? But also, if a coach is giving constructive criticism, make sure you understand that if they do it right, the athlete will say, "Oh," or so I'm in a thing where, like, a lot with my daughter, I'll say, if we're playing tennis, I'm not her coach. I don't want to be her coach. Heaven forbid I can't be my kid's coach. But I'll say, hey, great hit. That was awesome. Loved it. But hey, what'd you do wrong there? And then, I bent my wrist, or I did. And that's where we're training them up to do what you want them to do and to identify what they're doing wrong. Hey, even with the elites. Hey, what'd you feel on that one? What'd you do? Oh, I did this. I said, okay. One athlete today, I just asked her, I said, I knew it was like, that wasn't right. She did something, boom. I said, what'd you feel in there? She's like, out of control. Right? It was all, but she knew she didn't know why. And I tell her time before, I was running this fast. Oh, that makes sense. So it wasn't like, what are you doing this? Why is it? She's like, and I said, now when you do this right, now you got to adjust here. And it's just like you said, steps, hurdles, processes. So when you talk to the kids, hey, that was good, but hey, what can we do better on this next rep? And
right.
I don't know, like, okay, well, what I saw was, you got out good, but then you dropped your hips or whatever. Let's try that again. And some kids are going to do it right immediately, and then some kids are going to be like, oh my god, again. Okay, let's try it. So we have to not lose our patience with those who take longer to learn, who take longer to make the adjustments. And that's just what it is.
And what you just said with asking first, rather than always trying to tell them to get them to feel it, that's really, really important, because like as coaches, we're trying to help them help themselves, right? We're trying to help them get where they can't get by themselves, but to where we almost make them not necessarily completely dependent on us. And I think sometimes we cross that line of telling them what they need to do rather than making them feel it themselves. Because if they are at a race or a major competition and we can't get out there in the field with them, they have to be able to feel it themselves and make those self-corrections.
Those that know why can beat those that know how. We can all just run, but why am I doing this or why am I doing that? And that's what my coach, Bob Kersey, he always said that to us. You have to pay attention and learn. And yeah, we can't always get down there. So you have to make the correction. What are you going to do? Especially with my daughter in tennis, you're not allowed to coach. You can't go on the sideline and coach them. That's done. So you fix it. So if I'm feeding into you every day, I'm do this, do that. You don't know why you're doing it. You don't know how to, it's done deal. So yeah, we got to let them take some ownership to what they're doing. I saw a quote the other day, Bruce Schexnayder, great, jumps coach, said, when an athlete trusts a coach 99%, that's healthy. When they trust him 100%, that's brainwash. We're not in the business of brainwashing kids. I need you to ask me a question. I need you to know that you were good before too. Great athletes make great coaches, right? Mm-hmm. You have to trust and believe in your coach. Absolutely. Some days I'm going to say, just do it because I said it and do it, right? But I'm not going to say that too often.
Right.
You're going to ask me, well, how does this work or why? And you explain it. But if you have an athlete that doesn't trust you, you might as well just move on. It's not going to work, because you're going to challenge everything. It's not, you don't challenge your coach. You ask your coach. You have questions. There's a difference between asking a question and questioning, right? So if someone says, okay, well, what's this for? What's this drill for? You tell them, well, why am I doing this drill? Totally different. Don't come at me like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come at me with some sense, but I'll never forget that you are a part of this. And if you can do this, you were great when you came to me. I'm just trying to bring it out of you.
Right.
Some of those coaches, we forget we didn't create these people. We are not part of their genetic makeup. I did not.
Right.
I didn't give birth to you. So what you came genetically, what you came to me with is what you have. Now it's my job to train it, refine it, to give you, to give you the capability of doing it, trying to instill confidence, whatever it is that you need from me. That's why I'm here. Never forget how important you are to the process. And
Right.
coaches be like, that's me on me. It's not all you. It's never all you. Can't be. That's their mom and their daddy. And then if you mad because you slow, then that's also their mom and their daddy. The mom and daddy didn't get genetics. I can't help you. Try something different. You ain't fast. I did what I could. You got fast.
Now, have you ever had an athlete who wasn't fast, but through understanding the coordination and trusting you as a coach, that they actually surprised you and became a great athlete?
Yeah, I think I think as a coach, you want to you get the athlete and you kind of see, okay, this is how good they are. How much better can I make them, right? So you get an athlete you get someone, and you in high school or youth, you might get someone, they're not an athlete at all, right? But what can I do? Can I teach them to run with the opposite arm, opposite leg? That's it. Hey, that was a win for today, right? Now let's see if I can get them to do the A skip right. So it's really just relevant to who you're coaching. How much better can you make them, right? You can take some and say, oh, wow, you think it fast. Or like you get kids that come out of high school and they've never lifted weights. You put them in the weight room, well, boom, they're improving now. Okay, so now let's run with that. Now they're faster. Now they're here. Okay, how can we make them even better? Okay, let's work on their technique. So those kind of things. So yeah, you're going to get them a lot, especially if they want to be better. And you like, that kid makes the podium. Oh, you was coaching your butt off, right? Something like that. So
but some of that comes from in here, right? They have to want it. You can't force it on somebody. You can't make them have a work ethic that they just don't have the desire for.
If they want it and they want you to give it to them and they trust you to take them there, it's going to be so great. You're going to have a great outcome, whether it's the Olympic champion or the state champion or just the track meet champion for the day. You're going to get a good outcome. I always push, hey, do your personal best. Be win or loss. Are you your best version of you today? Period. And if you did, that's a win. You got to look at yourself in the mirror every day. You got to love yourself. So if you're happy with what you did today, that's a win.
And you know what? That's so important, just whether it's sports or life in general. We live in a society where we compare ourselves so much, and we're comparing ourselves to everyone else, and we're not looking at the small wins that we have. I had an athlete I was talking to a couple of weeks ago, and I said, hey, congratulations on your PR. And he said, well, I only ran and gave me the time. And I said, don't do that. I said, you PR'd. That's the best that you've ever run in your life. Right. And you PR'd and you followed it up with, but I only did X, Y, Z. I said, don't do that. I don't care if it's 100th or a 10th. Right. You give yourself credit for the small wins and then you get back to work. But don't ever diminish what you've accomplished.
Absolutely not. Be happy with that. That's the best you've ever done. But yeah, but you don't have to be satisfied.
Right.
Be pleased and happy that you're making a progression, that you're doing better. Like you said, now go back to work and see how much faster you can get off of that. You did something great. Can you do something better? Can you be better? Or is that it? Right?
Right.
You were the best you've been so far. You're on your way to even better. Yeah.
And at the same token, you want to also take ownership. I don't like when you have an athlete who will not do their best or they'll do close to their best and then they lose and now they're making excuses for what happened as opposed to just say, like you said, I lost. I didn't have my best day. But it's not about what someone else did or, what the starter did. It's me internally, and I'm going to get to work on it. And that's how we make improvement as well. But that's mental toughness that we have to, like a part of this being a more than a coach, helping them take ownership for their wins, take ownership for their losses, and not take either one of them personally.
Absolutely. 100%.
You mentioned earlier, what do you like? Making sure that they like it. And I think that's something that maybe as people get further along in the sport, they forget why they started doing it in the first place. How much does that play a part in coaching elite athletes?
I think it plays a big part. I think because sometimes they're in it, and they just want to win, make money. And it's like, well, do you want to do this? Like, is this what you want to do with your life? Because if you don't, you really ought to start looking for something else, because it will never be enough. If you don't win every time, you're like, why am I doing? Like if you're depressed when you don't win, or you're blaming people, all these different things, you're never going to be happy because nobody can win every time. Allison Felix is the GOAT. We all know it. There's no question. But we also know she hasn't won every time.
Right.
And Allison doesn't like to lose. That's my friend, and I know it. But what I also know about her is that she says, okay, let me get back at this, because she loves what she does. She's loved it for so long, and she's a competitive person. And for her, it's about more than just winning. It's also, she's glorifying God in what she does. She's showing her daughter how to be a champion, how to work through things. She's leading by example for all the youth out there. So there's more to it than that for her. So she's not like, I just want to get all the money in the world. Because if that's your attitude toward it, you're never going to be successful that way, because you won't be able to handle it when it doesn't go your way. I mean, because shoot, we all want to win everything. I mean, we all want to win everything, but everybody can't win because it's not how life works, right? So if you don't love what you do, if you don't want to do it wholeheartedly and say, okay, I didn't win, but I'm going to work harder, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, then it's not for you. Then it becomes too difficult and it becomes depressing and you're like upset all the time. And so it is very important for people to remind themselves why they do this, why they do anything, right? Why am I doing this? What's the benefit I get? Who else am I affecting by what I'm doing? Ask yourself all those questions. But at the core of it, do I want to be here? And if you can say yes, then let's keep going. If you have to question it, let's have a conversation. You may still want to do it, but let's see where we got lost somewhere. Because you can see it in practice. You can see it in performances, going through the motions, not wanting to be better, or again, placing blame. This is, if you were doing this, if you did that better, hold on now. You were doing fine last year. What happened between last year and this year? So yeah, you gotta really want to be out there. And because tech is hard. Yeah, being a coach is hard. Being a coach is harder than being an athlete. It's harder.
Wow. Yes, it is.
You're responsible for more people than just yourself, right? You're going to be blamed for everything. You're not going to get credit for anything. No, you do get credit. I mean, but the thing is, I'm not a coach so I can get credit. Because if you forget to thank me in your speech, I can't be butthurt and not want to coach you anymore. Or if you forget when you're having an interview and you're so tired, you forget to say, my coach is the greatest ever. I can't be upset about that, right? Because these moments are for the athletes. They're for them. So if I can't handle saying this is the athlete's moment, not mine, then I have to go back and say, why do I do this?
Right.
If that's why I do it for the credit, I'm doing the wrong thing. It's for me because I won, right? I won a gold medal. And I want all of my athletes to feel that. Will they all feel it? No, impossible. But I'm going to do what I can to get them there because I want them to feel it. And when they don't feel it, when they get hurt, when they lose, when these things happen, I've been there too. So now I can help them with that. So my personal reason for coaching is to be able to help athletes get to where they want to be, but also along the way, help teach them lessons, life lessons, as well as just track and field lessons. So me being a coach isn't really about me. It's about the people that I coach. And anyone that wants to be with me, I love it. And I want to give you everything that I can, because I want you to have that feeling of, okay, all my hard work is paying off.
Right. Right. And dreaming about something for years of your life. And it happens in one moment. It happens or it doesn't. So yeah, and you've had it, and to be able to share that with athletes, that is phenomenal. And it's about impact. When we think about the value of our lives, it's about the value that we're able to implant in someone else's life. Yeah. And as a coach, we have the opportunity to do that. Yeah.
I mean, I want them to say later on in life, well, I had a coach, she said this, or I had a coach, she did that. That's, for me, that's the reward that I get. Not the praise. It's that when they say one day, well, one time you told me this, that changed this or that. That's what we do it for, because they have a life to live outside after sports. It can't be sports forever. So I'm hoping that what I said or did during the time you competed helped you be a better athlete, but more so helped you somewhere along the line into who you are in life. Some kind of lesson that you can pay it forward.
Right. And just to point out with what you just said, when we talked about the impact of a coach, and I know you said both coaches, Coach Kersey and your high school coach impacted you, but you did not talk about a workout that helped you win the gold medal was the lesson that your coach gave you that just changed your life. But you talked about someone making you understand accountability and how that applies to life, and turning things around for yourself. And that was the story that stands out about an impact that a coach had for you. So that's something that we need to understand too. Like, yeah, we want to help athletes win, but winning on the track should translate to winning in life.
Absolutely. 100%. That's what it's about. Because once again, you can't run forever. At some point, you got to stop. And what do you have when you stop? What have you accomplished and what have you learned? Because
right.
you're not always gonna be at the top. You're not always gonna win.
Right.
You have to understand in life, you're not always gonna win. You're not always gonna get the job or the promotion. So how do you handle loss? How do you handle disappointment? Well, hopefully something that we did helped you later in life say, oh, I've been here before. I know what to do.
When you won your gold medal, I think the year prior you were dealing with injuries, and it impacted your ability to make, the world team or the finals. So talk to an athlete or a coach that's out there dealing with, setbacks, that's dealing with injuries, that's dealing with, hardship that might be going on right now, and how do they not give up on their goal and understand how to translate that into success in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so hard, right? It's so hard being injured. It's so hard knowing that I could run with them. I could be medaling. I can do this, but I'm injured. It makes you doubt yourself and your abilities sometimes. And it's like, will I ever get back there? Will I ever be able to do it again? And I think that it comes down to really just believing in yourself and saying, you know what, and understanding that it happens to everyone. Everyone gets injured. Everyone has a setback. And how I handle it is gonna determine what my next step is gonna be. So whether that's with yourself or whether that's seeking out help, talking to your coach, your parents, your family, your friends, you have to keep your circle really strong, because when you're down, a lot of times they pick up the pieces. You have them, people just say, hey, you got this, Something simple as that, right? Your teammates will tell you and they rally around you. That really helps, because if you go into that dark place by yourself and don't come out and don't talk to people, it's a long way. It's a whole lot harder to get out than it was to get in, right? That it becomes a mental injury. And so for me, it's always been like, okay, I've gone there and I'm like, why am I doing this? This is dumb. Like I'm done with this. I've been there where I'm just not going to do it. Been so many ups and downs, but at the end of it all, I told myself, you're not done with this. Like, you have this. Don't stop doing this. I loved it. Don't stop doing what you love because you're injured. Get over this, get your butt out there and see what else you have. I'm always a common sense kind of person. Like, okay, I'm not going to be running until I'm 40 years old trying to win. If it ain't for me, it ain't for me. But if I haven't given it everything and it wasn't for me, then I still got to keep going. But once I've given my everything, whether I win or lose, I know that I've given all of me to this. And again, if that's not God's plan for me, if that's not what's in the stars or however you want to decide how your life works, if it's not for you, you gave it 100%, which means there's something else for you.
Right.
I'm not going for something else until I know I gave everything to what I wanted. What I wanted was a damn gold medal.
And you got it.
I got it, because I was like, hey, man, this ain't over.
Did you have to make certain sacrifices off the track to get your body physically well? Because I think some athletes are like, oh, I keep getting injured and I don't know why this happens, but there might be lifestyle changes that have to happen off the track, where there's drinking more water, stretching better, doing recovery modalities. What was it for you that helped you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my diet was what I got great. Like, I was like, I'm going to eat. And I say diet, but I should say like my eating habits or whatever, because diet sounds like you didn't eat. I ate a whole lot of food, right? Because very small person. So in order to keep up my protein levels and everything, for my muscles to maintain the rigorous work that I was putting on them, I had to have enough protein. I had to have a balance of all the things I needed, the hydration, the healthy fats, all those things. So I was very strict on what I ate and how much I ate. And I always hit my numbers. Like, I didn't play around with that. And that helps. right? It doesn't make it perfect. I did get injured in 2004, but I was able to recover faster. So maybe that's what it was, right? You don't know for sure until you do it
When
right.
you say your numbers, you what, tracked your protein intake and
I raised my
everything?
food. Like I knew how much I was eating every day, how much meat, how, I'm eating this steak or whatever with this, a cup of broccoli, a cup of brown rice. I had it all laid out, but it was like perfect. And I think you get to that point as you get older, right? When you're younger, if you're parents, you just want to feed your kids healthy, you're going to give them cake and ice cream. You're going to give them that. And you shouldn't deprive your kids of that. They're little. They're not going to rip their muscles, right? Generally, kids get hurt off of fluke accidents. They fall, they trip, that kind of thing generally. As you get older and as you start going through puberty, male and females, your body starts changing. You need to pay attention to that. The main basic thing is water. Lots and lots and lots of water. Stay hydrated. Get the electrolytes in. And instead of like saying, I got to eat this much food here, take out some of that other food and it'll start to balance out. So instead of having ice cream, maybe have frozen yogurt, right? Instead of having this, eat that, eat less of this, eat more of that kind of thing. As you get to college, you get a nutritionist. They start guiding you. Then you start getting more serious about it and they're on it, right? Your coaches and your nutritionists are on it. Then as an elite, it's on you. You're going to hire a nutritionist if you want to. You probably should invest in that, right? Talk to the coaches who know. Quincy Watts is excellent at when he talks to these guys and girls about what they eat, especially the guys, because he's a guy and he had to do it himself too. And I'm a female, had to do it myself. So talk to us because we remember. And Coach Watts, he's like, you ain't got enough protein. You need to go eat. He's serious. Like he lets them know, go eat. And it helps them, right? It helps them. So you got to have somebody telling you, but then you have to learn yourself and learn your body, how much you need, what time should you eat, when do you get uncomfortable, if you ate too soon, close to practice, all those things. But it all comes in time. And again, that comes down to you being diligent and focused and your circle, your support group, helping you out and teaching you and holding you accountable when you slip. Like, hold on, now you're gonna eat that cake, but you over here, oh man, and
right.
help. So yeah, that's
right. Yeah, but when you were describing it, it's like, this is the machine that I'm asking to perform at a high level. And so I have to treat this machine right. We're not going to just put, water in our gas tank. We're going to put fuel in our gas tank so that it can do what it is that we're asking it to do. So the same things, I think some athletes think about diet plans as restriction or not eating, and everything you just described was making sure we're putting the right things in it. And making sure that, especially athletes out there, I hear some talking about, just being self-conscious and not eating, for periods of time to get to a goal weight. And I'm just like, no, that's the wrong way to go about it. And, as coaches, we have to be able to, pinpoint if athletes are having those kind of self-esteem issues that might need extra attention as well.
Oh, yeah. And we watch. We're watching.
So tell me about some time that you have had to do something as a coach off the track to help a kid or athlete, not a kid, but an athlete with something that they're dealing with, whether it be relationship issue or home issue, to help them be able to, recover and be able to function as a person and then as an athlete.
Yeah, I think when you have athletes that trust you, they start to confide in you and they tell you things, or their teammates tell you things that they're seeing and that they're hearing and that they're concerned about. And I've been there. I've had, athletes who are, these relationships, I think, are like, they're bad for men and women. It goes bad. It goes both ways in college. I generally dealt more with women because I'm a female and they're more comfortable with me. But yeah, I've had situations where there's abuse, physical and mental. And I think that you can't force a person to leave a person, right? Because they're like, I love it. See, I hear what's going on and I don't have any feelings toward this person at all. So I'm like, leave him. We're done. Get out of here. I don't like this dude, right? But she's like, but I love him, right? So she's able to forgive him for these things. So for her, it's like, oh, he can tell her, I'm so sorry, it won't happen again. I love you. And I'm like, he's lying, right? So we gotta get through that first. I have to say, you know what? Let me put myself in her shoes. She loves him. He believes he loves her. And maybe he does love her, but he don't know how to love her, right? So how can I get her to understand that this guy ain't the one, right? So it's one of those things where you can't judge her. You can't tell, you should have left, girl. You know better than that. You can't do that because it sends them right back over there to that person. Because I'm not supporting you by telling you what you should have, could have, would have done. I want you to know how important you are. I I need you to know your self-worth, right? So when I'm telling you, oh, he said that, wow, that is, because I don't see that. I don't know anyone that sees that about you. I don't know why he would say that, but that's probably something personal that he's dealing with. It's not you. So reinforcing always, it's not you, it's him. And you don't say, leave him. He's going through something though. I don't know. He's probably not ready for someone like you. I don't know. Pay attention to little things though. Hey, does he say this? Watch out for that, right? So now I'm just guiding her. I'm just helping her see things that she can't see because she loves him. But at the same time, reinforcing how amazing she is and how many guys later in life are going to want to marry her, right? How important. And that college is that's fine. You want to meet people, but it's not, you need to be focused on yourself, building who you are. So for me, it's always just like reinforce how valuable they are. And so you are loved and you will be loved. Yeah, it's gonna hurt. Because I've been there when your heart broke. It's a physical pain. Like, oh, he left. I can't break up with him. Like, it's gonna hurt. What am I gonna do without him? And I'm here to say, yeah, I've been there and done that, and it will get better. Sometimes it takes longer than other times, but when you love yourself, when you have self-worth, and you have other things going on like track meets and track practice and friends and coaches, then it eases the pain and the pain goes away faster. So for me, it's always very tricky when they say that they're being, and it's been more mental abuse for women than it has been physical. I think it's only been a couple times where somebody has put their hands on an athlete. And just to say, when that does happen, and you know for sure, that's kind of one of the things you want to report up, because that's a different situation. Like when they're getting, we've had to do that. We have to say, okay, we need to bring this person in. We have to report this to the psychologist, and then it's out of our hands, right? But when it's just the small stuff, when you know this dude just ain't worth it, you can talk them through that. Or I've had to tell them though. I've had to tell someone, you need to take this to someone else. Like I've had to do that, right? Because I can't at some point give you advice on certain things because we're not really allowed. So you have to tell them, okay, you're gonna talk to this person. I want you to go but then I'm prepping them to not prepping them, telling them what to say, but hey, this person's a nice person. They're not gonna judge you. That kind of thing. Don't be afraid. We have to get this handled. So yeah. And I just think every case is different, and you just have to be very wise and careful with what you say to these kids, high school, collegiates, even elites. It can change their life. And you can say, I know exactly how you feel, girl. I've been there. I have, but I can't say that. What does that mean? You ain't here now. You ain't dealing with it like I'm dealing with it. So, yeah, we have to be careful on comparing. Like we said, this is your journey. This is a problem, but I'm gonna help you get through this. Yeah.
Wow. All of these things that are part of coaching that are not in the manuals, they're not in the coaching training, but we learn them along the way on our job that, this is a part of helping people get to be the best version of themselves, like you said, if that's our goal with coaching. I want to end with one question about like a workout, because everybody wants to hear, things about mental part, how that applies to a workout. So if there's like last week, Vince shared with us about the wicket drill and how much thinking has to go into that, or not so much thinking, but when you said earlier, not just mindlessly going through the motions, but thinking about what does this feel like and being able to do it without the wickets. Is there a workout that, has some kind of a mental component that you love doing, whether it's a hurdle or a sprint workout?
I really love, I love anything that you can put up front, flat, or with hurdles, any workout, and then come back on the back end with like the last part of their 400 hurdle race, because that is where you're in fatigue and you're kind of simulating what it's going to feel like in the race. And now I need you to execute this second half of the race under fatigue well. And it is mental, because you're like, my butt is, I'm all jacked up, the lactic is there, and you probably won't feel, you're not going to, from what I'll put you through before you get to that second half in practice, you won't feel that bad in the race. So if you can do it in practice over and over, it should make you feel better in a race. So it should give you the confidence to know that, when I do this half dead, right? So for me, up front with coming home with the, either the last 3, the last 5, whatever you want to do it, play with it, that last part of the race for the 400 hurdles is so mental. And you just have to be able to do it in fatigue.
Wow. That's good.
Not about for them. I enjoy watching it.
All right, so I want to just check, see if we have any questions out there. Anybody that has questions, this is the time to submit. If you are watching, then go ahead and share this video with someone else that can benefit. She dropped a lot of bombs today, a lot of nuggets on things that are the intangible parts of coaching that can help young athletes, young, elite, collegiate, whatever it be. And definitely love that workout tip that you just gave with. So tell us a little bit about it. So would that be like a 200 or 250 and then do the last 150 over the hurdles?
Yeah, something like that. You can go through, if you want to bring them through at 450, 350, 250, something fast. Give them some, whatever recovery you require that, obviously they need to be able to move. And then walk over to the line and go hit the last hurdles. Yeah. And again, it's one of those things you can play with. It's not something that has to be designed. It's just get tired. Get them tired. Right. Get them tired and then have them go and execute that second half, because the race is won in the second half. It's not won in the first. The first part of the race, you're setting it up, right? And then you're getting ready to run home. So the race starts on the other half So, whether you teach it to start at 6, to start at 8, wherever you teach it as a coach, get your athletes tired and let's see if they can execute or not. Then you'll know if they fumbling and bumbling and tripping and stumbling, like, okay, you need some work.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Coach Hayes. And if you guys have questions, you can continue to submit them and we will see them in the comment area and respond. Thank you for all that you do for athletes and for coaches, because in a sense, you are coaching other coaches as well. So, keep it up, and thank you so much for your time. Thank you guys for watching More Than a Coach, and we'll see you next week with Carmelita Jeter. Thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Fun to be here. Thanks, everyone.